So last year I watched pretty much every foreign release in the horror genre that came to Netflix. Netflix likes to randomly drop new, mostly Asian horror films that no one discusses. And I thought that, hey, if I cover a ton of them, that will open up the audience because these movies are from like Thailand and Indonesia and so on and so forth. Man, those videos got zero freaking views, and I didn't even end up really liking like half or more of them. So it ended up feeling like a big waste of time. So there's been a ton of these foreign releases on Netflix, and typically, I would watch them, but I haven't been watching a lot of them, if any. But this one, Dead Talent Society, has been generating some decent reviews and buzz behind it from a couple places that I've followed and whatnot. So this is one that I did decide to watch. And typically I watch these on my own. And I put this on for about, 3 or 4 minutes. And I was like, okay, this is a very unique concept. I'm going to have to pause this one and wait for Kaylee. So I did so. So we're here to talk about it. So in case you're wondering why Jason hasn't covered the 15 different Netflix, movies from Indonesia and whatnot, that's why. Because unfortunately no one watches them, and it takes a lot of freaking time.
It does, yeah.
But I do want to watch the one that we watched.
Yes, the Death Whisper.
Death Whisper 2. Yeah. So we'll get to that.
We'll watch that at some point.
Anyway. Dead Talent Society. Now, This one is from Taiwan, and this is one I definitely would recommend if you are into unique comedy horror. I would go in blind.
Yes.
Because I went in blind, and so did Kaylee, and I had a really good time with it. So I will say the plot here in a second, but just in case you want to know, I think we both...
Yes, yeah, go in blind.
Yeah.
And we liked it, yes.
Yeah. So for those of you who want to know what the plot is and more of our thoughts here, this is kind of like, if I was to compare it to anything, very ish, it would be Beetlejuice. Mm-hmm. So as far as the plot goes, we are in the afterlife, or the underworld, or whatever you want to call it, and it's on Earth, but we mostly deal with the ghosts in this movie. And in this world, the ghosts are trying to become famous for their scare tactics. Much like in our world with our urban legends that we have, like a Slender Man or something, these ghosts are trying to make a name for themselves. And there is very famous ghosts in this world who are like celebrities. And it's all about their persona that they put out there, and the kind of legend they build around them. And we are following this girl who is recently died. And she's finding out that death is not the last stop, that she can fade out from existence, and she starts glitching, and she realizes wait, she's only got a certain amount of time before she's gonna stop existing completely, even in the afterlife. And she finds out that if she becomes a famous scarer, and she is given a scare license, then she can stick around. So, and there's more to it than that, but okay, here's the thing with this film. You cannot question any of the in-universe world building stuff. None of it makes any sense.
Yeah,
I was trying to make sense of it. I just could not do it.
We were asking questions around. We're just but wait, why would they need this? And how does this work? And why do they even have this thing? And there's not a lot of explanation given for that. But as a gimmick, everything works really well. If you just kind of go with the flow and buy into the fact that it's this alternate reality.
Yeah.
It's fine. There's not really... And, I think that it's easier to do that with comedies because your brain is already supposed to be accepting kind of like nonsensical things.
Yeah.
If this had been like a very serious film, it would have been kind of annoying to like have certain things not answered or just, you know, like these holes in explanations. But as it was, like, I don't think that detracts from any of the enjoyment of the film.
No.
So, yeah.
Well, what'd you think?
I thought it was great. I had a really good time with this one. I was really invested in the main characters in general, but definitely the main
rookie.
The main character.
Yeah.
I really loved her, and I thought she was super adorable.
Very
adorable. I just thought it's very unique. I've never really seen anything like this. I mean, I know compared it to Beetlejuice, which is sort of the closest thing, but not really. But it also isn't. Like, it's a totally different thing from Beetlejuice. But I really like the idea of getting to see like what ghosts are doing in the afterlife.
Yeah.
And I thought that the comedy in this worked really well. The horror is like very comedic horror, like nothing's really that scary. It's a lot of, you know, it deals a lot with like urban legends and sort of like horror tropes. So, you know, that's all there, but and it's fine. But I think the comedy and like the drama is really what I was excited about in this.
Yeah. So we're dealing with a few different elements here, one of which is there's this feud between this older ghost who was once the most famous ghost, and this up-and-comer who was like her protege who has become the new starlet. And the way that this operates, and this is where all the questions start to fall apart, is that they have to be recorded and have proof of their haunting, and that has to get a ton of clicks and views. So they're purposely trying to like lure in influencers or anybody to record their activities so that they can become more infamous. Somehow this brings in revenue and money and popularity.
Yeah.
I don't know. As I said, you can't question literally anything in the world because it just doesn't make sense. And I don't think they ever really intentionally mean it to make all that much sense. I think they just throw like a kind of very surface level explanation at it, and they're like, that's good enough. Because building a world like this would take way too much time for one film. This movie's already, you know, it's not a 2-hour film, but it's close to it. You know, these Asian horror films typically are longer films. So anyway, you're dealing with these two characters that are butting heads. They're going up against each other, and then you have your new ghost, which is in the credits. Her name is the Rookie. They say her name in the film, but I forgot it. But when I was looking at the IMDb list, her name is just the Rookie. She's trying to like make a name for herself and tries out and whatever, and she gets taken under the wing of one of them, and it's kind of being used as a pawn against the other one for fame. And while it is a comedy, for sure, there's some actually really good dramatic points.
Yeah.
And there is some fantastic acting from everybody, but especially our lead. Mm-hmm. There's a scene where she's on stage, and people are making fun of her, and she's trying to like smile through it.
Yeah.
But she's like so crying, and it's one of the more realistic portrayals of that I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Like where she's trying so hard to keep it together, but she's losing it under it.
Yeah.
I thought that was fantastic, and I really felt for her in that moment, and I was pretty much invested in her for the rest of the film. I already liked her up till that point, right? Like I was invested pretty much from moment one with her. But that really sold me, and kind of it shifted my perspective on the film a bit, because, you know, a lot of it was being played for laughs for the most part, and while there was some serious stuff here and there, it was that scene that really made me see this as like a more well-rounded film and not just kind of a throwaway comedy.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a good point. Yeah, that scene is wonderful, and I think that she does a fantastic job with that character in general. But there are some really good dramatic points throughout, not just with her too, but with some of the other characters as well.
Yeah. That
I really appreciated, and I think that it has a really satisfying like conclusion as well. Like everything kind of wraps up in a really satisfactory way. So I was happy with the ending, and I would honestly love to see like another movie set in this universe.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like you could do other stories with other ghosts. I think that there's, like, a lot of potential there. I don't know that that will ever happen, but it would just be fun to see more of the world.
I wouldn't be surprised if we got a part 2 for this. We also have, like, an iconic horror character stand-in who has a couple funny moments that was cracking Kaylee up when they go to interview her.
That was really good.
So it's not that character, but it's basically
it
it's kind of the stand-in for a lot of Asian horror characters. The long black hair over the face thing.
Yeah.
And they kind of poke fun at that a little bit in here, of kind of the stereotypes of Asian horror. Mm-hmm. And, like, you know, they're like, oh, you know, you do that outfit, or like, oh, you know, it's just kind of the typical thing, and everyone's like making fun of each other for kind of doing the more obvious route of things. Yeah, that you see, like, over and over again.
Yeah, I thought that was really funny.
So it's a little meta in that way, which is cool. And I also, I liked everybody. I really liked the manager with the mustache.
Yeah, he was great. Yeah, they all had, like, a really good dynamic together too. I feel like everyone played off of each other very well, and yeah.
If I was also liking this to anything else, I would say that the climax of the film, the final act, actually reminded me of the final act a bit of One Cut of the Dead.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's
where
fair.
everything's, like, frantic and they're trying to pull things together while, like, a live stream's happening and things are falling apart around them. But it's this quirky team that, like, makes it work no matter what.
Yeah, that's a good comparison.
Yeah.
I would say.
Yeah. So, a very cool movie. One that will probably be completely overlooked. It has a 7.0 on IMDb right now. So it definitely, for the people who have seen it, they're loving it.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping that, you know, if this sounds like it's up your alley, you should definitely check it out. I wish that more people cared about these foreign releases that come to Netflix, you know, whether they're from India or... There's so many. I mean, I covered probably 50 of them last year. And I went and I looked specifically recently, just to see if because I have so many, I get recommended them all the time on Netflix. There's all these 2025 movies. And it's just like I went and I looked at, like, all of the ones I did last year. I did series. I did, like, 3 of them where I was like, you know, where they had, like, a part 3 out. And I was like, okay, I have to go watch 1, 2, and 3. And I did them all in one review. I was really putting in the time. And unfortunately, I went and I looked at, like, every single one of them, and none of them had, like, any views. Like, none. And, like, no comments, no likes, no views. It was like... But then other videos, you know, had so many more.
Yeah.
So it's just not worth it when I'm not loving them.
Yeah.
But I did find a couple that I really enjoyed, and I was glad I watched them. So it's like, I don't know. Maybe I'll get to some of them. But just in case anyone's wondering why I have not covered as many movies like that this year, it's your fault. Just kidding. But yeah, you should check this one out.
Definitely check this one out. This one's a big recommendation.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's that. Anything more?
No.
All right. We'll see you in the comments. Bye.
Bye.